Alright guys, yeah, we're good now. So Dad's going to get stuck into the starter case. Almost a personal break for EMAD, Craig Hyde getting the Eels and the Tigers. And other than that, we have the 22 Traders mini starter case Newsagents. We have the 22 Traders case. 22 Traders Priority Box. We have a 21 Traders Priority Box and the bonus giveaway 21 Traders Hobby Box. So we'll get stuck into them. Most of you know, and I know Craig and EMAD know, but anyone new, the hobby box gets randomised between all the spots and that gets sent out sealed to the lucky winner. Alright, let's go. Green Power Heroes, number 41, Tommy Talau for the Tigers. Number 41. That's what let me get the chat up, guys. Hopefully a few people drop in to say hello. Second up, Blue Power Heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Another Blue Power Heroes header A. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, no, it's working. It's just I pressed the wrong thing. My bad. Nothing broke. So we'll randomise that at the end. Actually, no, we won't, because Craig Hyde has, EMAD has all those teams anyway. Daniel Saifiti for the Knights, blue. So that just makes it easy for me. Another blue, thank you muchly. Junior Paulo for the Eels. Green, number 90, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Black, number 66, Tommy Talau for the Tigers. Blue, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Green, number 56, header A. Blue, and Dallin Watine Zalesniak for the Warriors. Blue, and Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Blue, header B. Dallin Watine Zalesniak, blue. Blue, Jai Arrow for the Rabbits. Green, number 21, Kieran Foran. So 3 starter packs left. Another blue, Kieran Foran. Alexander Brimson, blue. And another blue, Valentine Holmes. Alright, so let's get the packets opened. Not a bad start. Not a bad start at all. Number 24, Authentic Series Black. Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Not a bad start to the break, Craig. Congratulations. Kyle Felt, parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think our original issue was the software needed updating. So I restarted the computer and updated that, and everything seems to be fine now. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. I believe so anyway. Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. If you're watching, give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know if we're all good. Retirements, Michael Morgan for the Cowboys. Tino for the Titans. I practice these names during the games when I hear them. And then when it comes to reading them and saying them again, it's, yeah. Rocco Berry, Rising Stars for the Warriors. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. When I'm watching, I'm always listening to the names that I struggle with, and I practice them when I hear them. And I think I get them right, and then it gets to the break day, no, gone. High Performance, Jake Turpin for the Broncos. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Dry Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. I know it feels good to be out of lockdown, that's for sure. Isolation, lockdown, same thing, I guess. Matthew Tomoko, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Power Heroes, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Master and Apprentice Black, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Rabbits. Cowboys parallel checklist. Season to remember, and Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. So yeah, as I said, we're trying to get this one done as early as possible in the hopes that we can get it sent out today. If not, it'll be sent out tomorrow. But we should be right. High Performance for the Titans. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Got a few other breaks, guys. Going at the moment. We've got a couple of different they're both 22 traders, 4 box breaks. One's the same format as this, pick your team. James Tedesco for the Roosters. It's a pick your team draft pick. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. There's only 8 spots. Pick your first team. And once it's sold out, we randomise the spots to determine the draft order. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. We have a Raz in the group. Blake Taff for Club Heroes for the Rabbits. Sharks parallel checklist. Eels parallel checklist. Yeah. So we just sold another one in that. Tohu Harris, Master Apprentice Black for the Warriors. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. Whoops. Retirements, Isaac Luke for the Broncos. Chanel Harris DeVita, parallel for the Warriors. Don't forget, if you haven't joined in the tipping comp yet, it's free to join. Details are on our Facebook page. Jared Croker, season 2 member for the Raiders. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. Quite a few people last round. I think it was 8 perfect rounds. That was a good effort, guys. Davy Mole, Rising Stars for the Rabbits. The Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Sharks parallel checklist. High Performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Aaron Clark, parallel for the Titans. Power Heroes, Dylan Watine-Zalesniak for the Warriors. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. I think we're going to ditch his jumper once we finish these packets. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Matt Burton for Panthers. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Don't forget, if you grab a spot in 166, you also get an entry into the giveaway. That's for the matching numbers case cards. We have a 21 Traders sealed case for runner-up and gift card for the website. The third spot, Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Yeah, I sort of forgot me box. But that's alright, we're almost finished and we just go a bunch in the case. High Performance, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Tommy Talau, parallel for Tigers. Ryan Totter, Power Heroes for Panthers. Jack Hetherington, parallel for Bulldogs. High Performance, Reece Welsh for the Warriors. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu. Ronaldo Multalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Oops. Team High Performance for the Tigers. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Must say, a few decent hits for the Tigers in the start case. Season to remember, Reed Marnie for the Eels. Dragons parallel checklist. High Performance, Alex Johnston for the Rabbits. Callum Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Stefano Utkamanu for the Tigers. We got 8, 9, last packet, almost. Rising Stars, Dean Irinia for the Storm. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Power Heroes Header B. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. High Performance, Reed Marnie for the Eels. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Titans parallel checklist. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. And last but not least, for our starter case, Rising Stars, Wiremu Grieg for the Eels, and Elijah Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Alright, so let's get this case opened. And check out what our case card is. Actually, before we go any further, just give me a sec. Alright. Can't cut straight. What we got there? Ooh. Emad has scored himself number 10 out of 30. Jesse Bromwich for the Storm. Congratulations, mate. Alright. Hopefully, we'll get to see a legend signature. First box for the case. Alright, let's go. Rising Stars, Tukamea Simpkins for the Tigers. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Ooh, to match the case card, Jesse Bromwich, Club Hero for the Storm. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. High Performance, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Tommy Talau, Power Heroes for the Tigers. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for Storm. Stefano Utakamanu, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Ben Hunt, Power Heroes for the Dragons. Dragons parallel checklist. Season to remember, Matt Burton for Panthers. Warriors parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Will Hopewade for the Bulldogs. Ryan Totter, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Herbie Farmworth, parallel for Broncos. Team High Performance for the Warriors. Sione Katoa, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Zach Lomax, parallel for Dragons. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Cowboys parallel checklist. High performance, Jordan Rapiner for the Raiders. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Master and Apprentice, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Harley Smith-Shields, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Albert Kelly for the Broncos. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Foil Authentic Sig for the Rabbits, Alex Johnston. Also this round's player in focus, Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. If you haven't already seen them, guys, we are getting 10 of each player in focuses, and they are listed on the website once we receive them. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. So if you do miss out, or you forget, which you'd miss out, keep an eye out on the website. They should be listed. Just depends really, but yeah, keep an eye out and just check that.
Round 10 today.
Yeah, we got round 10 today, parallel, but they do vary in how long it takes, as a lot of people would already know. We got 2 rounds before we got round 6. Well, it was one of them anyway, but yeah. I might be thinking of a different one, but yeah, one of them. Master Apprentice, Cody Walker for the Rabbits. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Wade Graham for the Sharks. A Roosters parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Franklin Pele for the Sharks. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. And last but not least, for our first box, Master and Apprentice Black, Mr. Hammerfido for the Cowboys. And Isaiah parallel for Panthers. Hammerfido parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Storm parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Milwaukee Fodawaker, parallel for Titans. High Performance, David Clemmer for the Knights. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Master and Apprentice, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Brett Morris for the Roosters. Cody Nikorima, parallel for the Warriors. Jared Rera Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Club Hero, Big Tino for the Titans. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Malami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Broncos, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Helam Lukey for the Cowboys. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Rabbits. James Tarmo, parallel for the for the Tigers. Cowboys. Where did that come from? Marson Apprentice Black, Cody Walker for the Rabbits. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Watine Zalesniak, Power Heroes for the Warriors. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. James Tedesco, Power Heroes for the Roosters. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Panthers, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Reed Marnie for the Eels. Wade Graham, parallel for Sharks. Josh Kerr, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Dean Iremia for the Storm. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Knights parallel checklist. High Performance, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Here's a question for you. Oh no, put it down here. So I heard that the Master Series is a Blues player this year? So Michael says. So you don't know? Reece Robson, White Authentic. Ooh, nice. Number 4 for the Cowboys. Nice low one. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Team High Performance for Panthers. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Tig Wilton for the Sharks. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. Alright, so box number 3. Rising Stars, Wiremu Greig for the Eels. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance, Clint Gutherson for the Eels. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Chance Nicole Klokstad for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Bulldogs. Dylan Martin Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Kobe Hetherington, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Josh Jackson, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Sifa Talakai, parallel for Sharks. High Performance, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Tigers parallel checklist. Club Heroes, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Josh Papali, Master and Apprentice for the Raiders. Micah Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Jesse Bromwich for Storm. Colin Hess, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Valami Avile for the Warriors. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Master and Apprentice Black, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Reuben Garrick for the Manly. For Manly. Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Brian Toff for Panthers. Payne Haas for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. Season to remember, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Eels, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Mawaki Fodawaka for the Titans. Tom Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, header B. We've got two header Bs. Oh, in the normal one anyway. What we got? And a blue Mitchell Barnett. Parallel for the Knights. Another retirement from Josh Morris. for the Roosters. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. We got 5th last packet for box number 3. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Ryan Sutton, parallel for Raiders. Master and Apprentice, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Jared Wallace, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Amali Olakatu, R2, Olakol R2 for Manly. Olakol R2, I'm pretty sure that's right. R2, Olakol R2. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for the Broncos. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. And that finishes off box number 3. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Club Heroes, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Jake Clifford, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Manly parallel checklist. Russell Packer, retirements for the Tigers. David Fafita, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance, Jack Bird for the Dragons. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Hey mate. Jesse Bromwich, number 10. Nice hit from Emad, or Emad. I'm not sure, to be honest. Lachlan Croker, parallel. Well, Dan should be able to tell us. What number is Jesse? Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Yeah, it's definitely a nice low one either way. Team high performance for the Storm. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, number 8. Yeah, that's what Dad said too. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. And Dry Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Jake Avarillo for the Bulldogs. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. I would be keen on that card, whoever got it. Emad was the lucky winner of that one. Dry Arrow, Power Heroes for the Rabbits. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Master and Apprentice Black, Stefano Utokumanu for the Tigers. Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Storm. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Titans. Kyle Felt, parallel for Cowboys. Parallel, Victor Radley for the Roosters. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. James Fisher Harris, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. High Performance, Brian Sotoff for Panthers. Sharks parallel checklist. Junior Paulo, Power Heroes for the Eels. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for Dragons. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. High performance, Justin Olam for the Storm. Sam Walker for the Roosters. Master Apprentice, Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Greg Marzhew for the Titans. Tessie Newt, parallel for the Broncos. This is what, our 7th? Yep, 7th last packet, guys, for box number 4. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for Tigers. Renato Mortalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Dylan Brown, parallel for Eels. Master Apprentice, Matt Moylan for the Sharks. Blake Laurie, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. And last but not least for the box, season to remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Bradman Best, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Wirrami Grigg for the Eels. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, Micah Siro for the Eels. Corey Allen, parallel for Bulldogs. Creator, Mr. Cody Nikarima for the Warriors. Another number 10. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Sharks. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Harley Smith Shields, Club Heroes for the Raiders. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Season to Remember, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Ronaldo Politalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Valami Avile for the Warriors. David Fafita, parallel for the Titans. High Performance for the Sharks. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure he was the same one. I went to say Cowboys when it was Tigers last time. Master and Apprentice, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Aaron Clark, parallel for the Titans. Season to Remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Season to Remember, Jesse Bromwich for the Storm. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Storm. Master and Apprentice, Emery Gula for the Raiders. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Tommy Turbo for Manly. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Jai Arrow, Power Heroes for the Rabbits. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Master Apprentice Black Jake Arthur for the Eels. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Sharks, parallel checklist. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. And 8 tuckets left. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. And Carl Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, David Fafita for the Titans. Kyle Felt, parallel for Cowboys. Power Heroes, a Junior Paulo for the Eels. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Second last packet for box number 5. Matthew Tomoko, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. And last but not least, Xavier Coates, a season to remember for the Broncos. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Alright, box number 6, here we come. If you're watching this and feeling like that you need to open yourself some packets at home, we have plenty of boxes and cases in stock through the website. So follow the links and head on over. We've got deals on the 21 Traders boxes. Cohen Hess, Club Heroes for the Cowboys. Dry Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Retirements, Will Hopawate for the Bulldogs. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. High performance, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Luke Brooks, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Valami Vile for the Warriors. Big Tino for the Titans. Master and Apprentice, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Eels parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Oh. Alexander Brimson, season to remember for the Titans. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Master and Apprentice, Stefano Utikamanu for the Tigers. Molly Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. High performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Power Heroes head A. Tessie New, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. So this is the second one of these. And this is a number 9 out of 62. Black authentic signature for Bailey Simonson and the Raiders. Number 9. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. So we did manage to score one for the Tigers in the mini starter case. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Storm. Corey Allen, parallel. Oh, my bad. Eliza Katoa, parallel for Warriors. Matthew Tomoko, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. 6 packets left for box number 6. Rising Stars, Rory McGree for the Eels. Rabbitohs, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Corey Allen, parallel for Bulldogs. High Performance, Reid Marnie for the Eels. Josh Jackson, parallel for Bulldogs. Ryan Sutton, parallel for Raiders. 2 packets left for box number 6. Team High Performance for the Broncos. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. And last but not least, Master and Apprentice Black for the Knights, Mitchell Pearce. And the Bulldogs parallel checklist. This is box number 7 out of the case, guys. So we're halfway through the case. We've got the mini starter case done. So far we've pulled the Creator, Black Authentic Sig, pretty sure White Authentic. Other than that, for the case, we've pulled a few retirements and the respective Team High Performance, Club Heroes, Black Master Apprentices, Rising Stars, Tukamir Simpkins for the Tigers, Tohu Harris, Parallel for the Warriors, Jesse Bromwich case card, Tohu Harris, Club Heroes for the Warriors, Daniel Tupu for the Roosters, Jaden Campbell, Rising Stars for the Titans, Jerome Luai, Parallel for Panthers, Season to Remember, Blake Ferguson for the Eels, Tony Staggs, Parallel for Broncos, really thought Blake Ferguson was going to stay and pick up another NRL contract. William Kennedy, Parallel for Sharks. Back overseas playing again. Yeah. Yeah, and then the week after that he was overseas again. I can't remember if it was. No. He scored on debut over there. I think he got 4. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for the Storm, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. I know he might have signed a contract with Dolphins for next year and just gone over there to play the season. High Performance, Reese Robson for the Cowboys, Junior Paulo, Parallel for the Eels, Daniel Saifiti, Power Heroes for the Knights, Jack Bird, Parallel for Dragons, Franklin Pillay for the Sharks, Rising Stars, Valentine Holmes, Parallel for the Cowboys, Retirements, Michael Morgan for the Cowboys, Daniel Saifiti, Parallel for the Knights, Season to Remember, Corey Norman for the Dragons, Harry Grant, Parallel for Storm, Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors, Jake Trbojevic, Parallel for Manly, High Performance, Jake Turpin for Broncos, Titans Parallel Checklist, Oh, our first predictor. Number 235. So nothing special in the number, but dragons. So that one will go to EMAD. Number 235. And Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Team High Performance for the Dragons. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Stefano Uchikamanu for the Tigers. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Dragons parallel checklist. Valentine Holmes, Power Heroes for the Cowboys. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. High Performance, Josh Hodgson for the Raiders. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Master Apprentice, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. High Performance, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Cameron Murray, parallel for Rabbits. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Luke Thompson, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. Master and Apprentice Black. Oh, hang on, no, sorry, it's not a black. Isaiah for Panthers. I'll just turn it around just to prove it. My bad, got a bit eager. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for Dragons. Warriors parallel checklist. Season to remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. James Tedesco, parallel for Roosters. Season to remember, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for Warriors. 3 packets left for box number 7. Master Apprentice Black, Bo Fulmore for the Titans. Brian Totter, parallel for Panthers. Thomas Flegler, parallel for Broncos. And last packet, box 7. Reece Robson, parallel for Cowboys. And that's the end of that one. Here we go, box number 8. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for Cowboys. Club Heroes, Isaiah. When did we have Isaac Tago last? I don't know, I feel like we already had a. Could be wrong. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for Knights. Distracting myself. It's not hard. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Storm parallel checklist. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Kelly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Mawaki Fatoaka, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. High performance, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Jake Averillo, parallel for Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Kieran Foran for Manly. Jack Whiten, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Cody Nikarima, parallel for Warriors. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Jake Clifford, parallel for Knights. High performance, Isaac Liu for the Roosters. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Manly parallel checklist. Power Heroes, Toby Rudolph for the Sharks. James Tamo, parallel for Tigers. Oilsig, Adam Dewey, number 117 for the Tigers. 117, Adam Dewey. Yep, beautiful. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. Almost halfway on box number 8. Season to remember, Josh Addo-Carr for the Storm. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Team high performance for the Titans. David Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rats. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Jordan Rapiner for the Raiders. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. High performance, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. Josh Curran, parallel for Warriors. High Performance, Brendan Smith for Storm. Victor Radley, parallel for Roosters. Kevin Proctor, Master and Apprentice for Titans. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Broncos parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Greg Marzhew for the Titans. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Sharks parallel checklist. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. Malami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Nathan Brown, parallel for Eels. Master and Apprentice, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for Dragons. Luke Metcalf, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Kyle Felt, parallel for the Cowboys. Jared Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Matt Duffy for the Dragons. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. And the last packet for box number 8. Master and Apprentice, Matt Dory Black for the Bulldogs. And Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Alright. Brings us on to box number 9, which leaves 3 boxes from the case. We have our 2 priority boxes and the hobby box, which is randomized. So we are getting there. Go. Rising Stars, Dino Remia for the Storm, Alex Twile, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Damien Cook for the Rabbits. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Ben Hunt, parallel for Dragons. High Performance, Team High Performance for the Cowboys. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. And Knights, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Club Hero, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. High Performance, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Campbell Graham, parallel for Rabbits. Master and Apprentice of Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Joe Stimson, parallel for Bulldogs. Master and Apprentice, Jerome Hughes for the Storm. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Elam Lukey, Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoop for the Bulldogs. Panthers parallel checklist. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Dane Laurie, parallel for Tigers. Alright. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Hudson Young, parallel for Raiders. Season to remember, Brian To'o for Panthers. Haddon Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Harry Grant, Power Heroes for the Storm. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Booyah, baby. There we go. That's the one we wanted. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for Rabbits. Cowboys parallel checklist. Season to remember, Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Jordan Rapana, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. 6th last packet. Power Heroes, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Roosters parallel checklist. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Isaiah Yo, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Corey Oates, Master and Apprentice for Broncos. Black, by the way, sorry. My bad. Clinton Gufferson, parallel for Eels. And that's the end of box number 9. Knickerbocker number 9. Rising Stars, Tukamir Simpkins for the Tigers. Dallin Wassine Zalesniak for the Warriors, parallel. Blake Taff, club hero for the Rabbitohs. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Jaden Campbell, Rising Stars for the Titans. Abasai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Jake Turpin, parallel for the Broncos. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for Storm. Tigers parallel checklist. High Performance, Kyle Felt for the Cowboys. Micah Sivo, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Matt Burton for Panthers. Tohu Harris, parallel for Warriors. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Daniel Tupu, parallel for the Roosters. Tupo. High Performance, Nick Meaney for the Bulldogs. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Power Heroes, Tony Staggs for the Broncos, Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Franklin Pillay, Rising Stars for the Sharks, Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Retirement, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Team High Performance for the Tigers. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Tyson Gamble, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Murray Talaki for the Cowboys. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. Halfway through box number 10. So we have 2 more boxes after this from the case. And then we have the 2 priority boxes to open, guys. Valentine Holmes, season to remember for the Cowboys. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. If you've missed anything through the break, or you're just tuning in now, or whatever the case may be, you need to leave us. We will be posting the pictures of the team hits after the break. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. We do have a Legends signature card. I haven't revealed who it is, and I don't know what number it is. Dominic Young, Rising Stars for the Knights. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. So I think after we finish the case, I'll reveal the number and who it is. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. And then we'll do the 2 priority boxes. So that is just hiding there underneath Nathan Brown. High Performance and Jordan Ravana for the Raiders. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Power Heroes, Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Marston Apprentice and Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Harley Smith Shields, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Albert Kelly for the Broncos. Titans parallel checklist. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Xavier Coates, high performance for Broncos. Jared Wallace, Big J-Wall, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Will Panasini for the Eels. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Fifth last packet for box number 10. Master and Apprentice, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for Warriors. Season to remember, Wade Graham for the Sharks. Angus Crichton, parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Tom Jabojevic, parallel for Manly. Master and Apprentice, Black, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. And that's the end of box number 10. Alright. So here we go with box number 11, second last box of the case. Hayes Dunster, Club Heroes for the Eels. Stefano Utikamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Team High Performance for the Rabbitohs. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Zach Lomax, season to remember for the Dragons. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Kevin Proctor, parallel for Titans. Jason Saab, Rising Stars for Manly. Toby Rudolph, parallel for Sharks. High Performance, Anari Talala for the Knights. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Master Apprentice, Jake Arthur for the Eels. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. John Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Brett Morris for the Roosters. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. The Roosters parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Helam Lukey for the Cowboys. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Rabbitohs. Alex Twal, parallel for Tigers. Ben Hunt, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for Bulldogs. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Master Apprentice, Phoenix Crosslands. The Knights, Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. High Performance, David Nofaluma, for the Tigers, sorry. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Ben Hunt, Power Heroes for Dragons. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Corey Thompson, parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Dragons parallel checklist. Retirements, Jake Friend for the Roosters. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Reece Walsh for the Warriors. Warriors parallel checklist. Power Heroes, Tommy Talau for the Tigers. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. We've got 7th last packets for box number 11. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Brian Tyler, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Thomas Flegler, parallel for Broncos. Oops. Season to remember, Reid Marnie for the Eels. Sione Katoa, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Dean Aremia for the Storm. Luciano Leilua, parallel for Tigers. High Performance, Alex Johnston for the Rabbits. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Master and Apprentice, Black, Isaac Tago. And Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Alright, lucky last box for the case. I am going to quickly run up the hallway and use the toilet. So I'll be back in a second. Alright, sorry about that. We now resume your usual viewing. Excuse me. So yeah, last box of the case. Three boxes left in total. After this box, we will reveal the legend signature and find out what number it is. Jira Mamoisi, Rising Stars for the Knights. Hammerfido, parallel to Cowboys. Club Heroes, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Knights parallel checklist. Xavier Savage, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Oh. Excuse me. Clint Gupson, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Season remember, David Fafita for Titans. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. High Performance, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Storm parallel checklist. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Adalan Batin Zalesniak for the Warriors. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. And Fanor Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Our second predictor, number 189 for the Cowboys. Number 189. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Team high performance for the Knights. Malaki Fodawaika, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. So we're on to the last half on to the second half of box number 12. Jake Averillo, season to remember for the Bulldogs. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Our heroes, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Cody Nikorima, parallel for the Warriors. High performance, Josh Adokar for the Storm. Jared Rera Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. Master and Apprentice, Hamoli Olaka'atu. Valami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. High performance, Matt Burton for Panthers. Wade Graham, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Greg Matthew for the Titans. Broncos, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. James Tamo, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for Storm. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Master and Apprentice, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Jake Granville, parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Jake Clifford, parallel for Knights. Season to remember, Delly Cherry Evans for Manly. Panthers parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice Black, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. And our last packet for the case. Manly parallel checklist. Alright. So as I said, we will see it's 125 and it's a Mao. So we'll randomise that at the end. Alright. 22 priority. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Daniel Tupou, parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Rumi Grieg for the Eels. Raiders parallel checklist. High Performance, Reed Marnie for the Eels. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Now, first priority hit, number 1. Oh well, this will make him happy.
It's not great, guys.
No. Number 1, team high performance for the Sharks. And the reason I say that is EMAD is actually trying to put the set of 1 and 2s together. That's Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Tyson Gamble, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, William McKennedy for the Sharks. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Our heroes are Dallin Watine Zalesniak for the Warriors. David Nofaluma, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Corey Thompson, parallel for the Titans. Master and Apprentice, Emery Gula for the Raiders. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Luke Thompson, parallel for Bulldogs. They're almost halfway through the 22 Traders Priority. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Our second priority hit, Master Apprentice Black, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters, number 20. Warriors parallel checklist. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Jesse Bromwich for Storm. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Avilami Avile for the Warriors. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. Number 28, Black Authentics for the Storm, Christian Welch. That's the third black for the break, guys. Jack Bird, parallel for the for the Dragons. Season to remember, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Cohen Hess, Club Heroes for the Cowboys. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. High performance, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. Power Heroes, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Titans, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for the Broncos. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Stefano Utokumanu, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Katoni Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Retirements, Brett Morris for the Roosters. I can't remember which one we got. That could be all three Roosters retirements. I think it was only three. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. High performance, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Dragons, parallel checklist. We've got 3 packets left. Master Apprentice, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. High performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly. And William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. To finish off 22 traders. Alright, our last box of the break, guys. 21 Traders Priority. So we've got the Laurie Daly, Mark Graham, Legend Sig in this series. Black Authentics. If we're going to get a predictor, hopefully it's the Panthers one. Charlie Staines, Rising Stars for Panthers. George Williams, parallel for Raiders. Black Streeter, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Cody Walker, parallel for Rabbits. Rising Stars, Freddie Lussick for the Roosters. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Jordan McLean, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Cameron McInnes for the Dragons. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Sean Johnson, wild card for the Sharks. Dragons parallel checklist. Wild card, Jesse Bromwich for the Storm. Jesse Bromwich parallel for the Storm. Semi Valemi, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Star Tunes, Adam Elliott for the Bulldogs. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Tigers, a parallel checklist. Jake Friend, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Hayes Perham for the Warriors. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Lachlan Fitzgibbon, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Rabbits. Foilsig, Joseph Tapine for the Raiders. They weren't numbered last year. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Phoenix Crosslands for the Knights. Curtis Sirinen, parallel for Manly. Wildcard, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbits. Ben Hunt, parallel for Dragons. Right, halfway on our last box. Ooh. Team wildcard number 3 for the Storm. Storm didn't have a bad run this break. Jake Cabarillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Actually been a pretty good break. 3 blacks are legends. I was actually hoping for another black or a legends in this box, but can't win them all. Wild card is Yo. Daly Cherry Evans. Rising Stars, Connor Tracy for the Sharks. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Let me say, look, there's nothing saying there's nothing in. There's not one in here. We've got just under half a box to go. Rising Stars, Tommy Talau for the Tigers. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Kate Cust for Manly. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Tavita Pangai Jr. for Broncos. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. White Streeter, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. White Streeter, Josh Mansell for Panthers. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Star Tunes, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Aaron Woods, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Kate Ellis for the Dragons. Raymond Faitala Mariner, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Sharks parallel checklist. Season to remember, Billy Walters for the Tigers. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. This is our 6th last packet. Season to remember, Josh Morris for the Roosters. Alex Twile, parallel for the Tigers. And our Club Hero Priority, number 2, Kurt Mann for the Knights. Whoa. That was very lucky. Kurt Mann for the Knights, guys. Number 2. Jake Turpin, parallel for the Broncos. 4 packets left. Rising Stars, Cooper Johns for the Storm. Jared Rua Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Retirement, Mitchell Orbison for the Roosters. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Brendan Wakeham for the Bulldogs. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. Alright, last packet of the break. Season to remember, Peter Hiku for the Warriors. And Mr. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Alright, so we have 3 header Bs starting with blue and then 2 normal ones. We have our 21 Traders Hobby Box, and last of all we have our Mount Meninga Legend Signature number 125. Alright, so let's get into these razzers, or randomizers I should say. There. I will switch that over. Oh, I think my sound's dropped out halfway through this. Maybe not. Hello? Hello? Yeah, okay, it's working. Alright. So we can get rid of let me just copy that. We'll need the other ones in a minute. Alright, so this is for header blue header B, number 1, number 2, and lucky last number 3. EMAD with the Dragons. Alright, we'll do it fair. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. EMAD with the Cowboys. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last number 3. EMAD with the Dragons. Alright, so next up we have our 21 Traders Hobby Box. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last number 3. EMAD with Dragons. Dragons are popular. Alright, and our last one is for the Mount Meninga signature card. Alright, number 1, number 2, and lucky last number 3. EMAD with the Panthers. Alright, well thank you to the both of you for being a part of it. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and watched. If you're watching now, don't forget to hit the like button. And we'll see you all again soon.